Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today we will be discussing how to monitor the memory and disk utilization of your EC2 instance using CloudWatch agent. As you know, monitoring your EC2 instance is crucial for maintaining their health and ensuring that they are performing optimally. With the CloudWatch agent, you can collect metrics and logs from your EC2 instance as well as monitor system performance in real time. Specifically in this video, we will be focusing on how to monitor memory and disk utilization. We'll walk you through the steps to install and configure the CloudWatch agent on your EC2 instance and show you how to use CloudWatch metrics to monitor the memory and disk utilization. So without further ado, let's get started and learn how to monitor the memory and disk utilization of your EC2 instance using CloudWatch agent. Okay, for this what I've done is I've documented the steps clearly in my GitHub repository. I'll make sure to drop the link to this repository in the description. Please check that. So we are going to follow 3 steps here. So the step 1, if you see here, that is to create an AWS EC2 instance IAM role and add CloudWatch and SSM full access to that particular role, right? So I've also given the role name for an example. If you want to use the same thing, you can use it. So let me copy the role name and let me log into my AWS console. All right, so this is my AWS console. I've logged in. So let me open up IAM console and create an IAM role. Here, let me go to roles and let me click on create role. And here I will select AWS service and I'll select EC2 and click on next. And here, as I mentioned in the repository, I need to provide SSM full access and CloudWatch full access. So you can give the fine-grained access, but to keep this thing simple, I'm going with full access. So let me type in CloudWatch and hit enter. You would see CloudWatch full access here. This is the one. I'm going to check this box and I'm also going to select SSM full access. So I'm going to select SSM and hit enter. So here, if you see SSM full access is there, I'll select that one and I'll come all the way down and I'll click on next. Here I need to provide a role name. So give a meaningful name to your role. I'm just going to give EC2 CloudWatch role and make sure that you have Amazon SSM full access and CloudWatch full access selected. All right. So after that, just click on create role. So this would take 1 or 2 minutes to create a role. So as you can see, the role has been created right now. So I'll just close this one. So let's go and see what is the next step. So the step 2 is to create a parameter in SS System Manager with a name /alarm/ AWS CloudWatch Linux config and store the value. So for this, where is the value? If you ask me, I have given it here. This is the value which you need to store. So you might ask me, what is the significance of this value? I'm going to explain it now. So I've just copy pasted the same thing in my Visual Studio Code so that you can understand better. So what we are trying to do in that JSON, so that file that you saw is a JSON document. Basically, we are collecting different metrics of an EC2 instance. So this JSON document will be inside the EC2 instance. I will show you how we'll do that. Okay, so we are collecting metrics here. So the metrics that we are trying to collect is memory and disk. And so if you want to get the details of a specific EC2 instance, you need to provide the instance ID, right? So there might be many EC2 instance IDs running. So in that, how do you get your own instance ID, right? So for that, what you can use is there is a separate parameter called instance ID, and you are going to use this one in turn, by using the EC2 instance metadata, it is going to get the instance ID and keep it inside this placeholder. All right. So the metrics we are trying to collect is memory, which is given in mem used _%. So these are not defined by me. These are provided by the AWS. I'll give the link to the official documentation related to this in the GitHub repository. Make sure to check that. I think I've already added that. So if you want to go and reference this, you can reference these two documents provided by AWS itself. Now coming back to the documentation, so we are trying to collect both memory. So that is what we are mentioning here in the measurement, and metrics collection interval for how many duration. So it will collect the data. So I've given it as 60. 60 means 1 minute. So 60 seconds. So for every 60 seconds, I'm going to collect the data. So for example, now it is 11:15 p.m. IST. So after 1 minute, that is 11:16, I'm going to get another data. 11:17, I'm going to get another data. So that is what the meaning of this configuration file. Similarly, for the disk also, we are measuring the disk use percentage, and the metrics collection interval would be again 60. So again, you can change this one. So if you go below 60, like 30 seconds and things like that, I think you are going to pay extra for that. Make sure that you are selecting the right. I think even 60, for 60, even I need to pay extra amount for CloudWatch. But if it is above 2 minutes, I think it is free, right? So make sure to check the documentation once and then configure it. Okay, so this is what the configuration file is. So let me just copy this one, and I'll go here, and let me see the second step again. So the second step is to create the parameter in the system manager. So let's do that first. So we'll copy the name first. Let's again copy the content later. So this is the name that I'm using, /alarm /AWS -CW agent lin config. So if you ask me why is this name, you can use any name, but to make it simple to understand better, so I'm giving this name. Okay, so lin as in this is for Linux. Okay, so I'm going to copy this again. I'll go to my AWS console. I'll open a new tab, and I'll open the systems manager. So if you see, this is the systems manager. I'll just click on systems manager, and here in the the left hand side, you see parameter store. Under application management, select this parameter store, and here you need to create a new parameter. You can just click on this create parameter. All right, so I'll just click on create parameter, and here you need to fill in few details. As I told you, you need to give a meaningful name. So let me give the name that I copied, /alarm /AWS CloudWatch agent config. So I'll just paste the same thing in the description. Okay, so to make it simple, and also make sure there are no extra white spaces available, and tier keep it is as standard. So we have a limit of now 10,000 parameters to store. So if you want more, you can go with the advanced option. All right, so type, we are going to store the string data, so keep that as string itself, and the data type, I'm good with text itself, so keep it text. And here in this value section, you need to provide the value that I've added here. This is the value. So you just copy this one using this one, and I'll come back here and I'll just paste it. So this is what the same code in the VS Code also, so don't worry. So I'll give that. If you want, you can add a tag, else it is optional. So I'll leave that as default, and I'll click on create parameter. Okay, now if you see, the parameter is created. So what is the thing that I'm doing is here, instead of storing this parameter inside the EC2 instance, I am creating a extra parameter outside the EC2 instance, and later on I will get this parameter. As I've already added SSM full access, the EC2 instance will be able to access your systems manager. So if the EC2 instance is able to access system manager, it is obvious that it also can access your parameters. So we can fetch this parameter and use it for the configuration, right? So instead of keeping this file, you can also create a JSON file and store inside the EC2 itself. But we are going fully automated one, right? So you can improve this, and you can try to automate the entire thing, right? So instead of going and logging into an EC2 instance and then creating a JSON file, so we can, at the launch time itself, we can go with this option. right? So that is what my intention is. Okay, so the second step is completed now. The final step is to create an EC2 instance and attach the role created in the step 1. So we created a role, right, in the step 1. So we need to attach the role. Okay, so let me copy that role name. Okay, so and let's go ahead and create an EC2 instance and attach the role. And let's see, we need to add a user data script. So here, if you see, this is the user data. So I will also explain what is the user data. So first let's open the EC2 console. Okay, so to do that, I'll go to EC2 console. So let me open my management console first. Here I have EC2. I'll open EC2. And here, if you see, there are 0 instances running. So let me go ahead and create a new EC2 instance. So I'll just click on launch instance. Okay. Now let's go ahead and launch an EC2 instance. Okay, for that we need to give a meaningful name here. So I'll just paste the role name that I copied and I'll just say demo at the end. Okay, so that seems good to me. And the instance type, you can go with Amazon machine image. You can select the Linux based images. So I'm going with Amazon Linux. Okay, so that too, Amazon Linux too. There is a new version that is available from last month, that is 2023 Amazon Linux. If you want to test, you can go ahead and test on that also. It worked pretty well for me. So next I'll go with the t2.micro, as most of you might be using free tier account. So this is a good one to test your hands. Key pair, if you want, you can select a key pair which is already there, or you can create a new one by just clicking on this create new here, or you can also proceed with a new key pair, without a key pair also. But later on, if you come and ask me, I gave no key pair in the production, I'm not going to help, because in production you need to always go with a key pair which is already there. So you'll check with the team and you configure it as required. Okay, so networking settings, I'm gonna give leave that as default. I'm not gonna change anything, so I'll be placing it in the default VPC. Firewall, I'll select a security group which is already there. Okay, so that is Linux SG, but you can, if you want, you can create a new one. Make sure that you are providing SSH access, right? So if you want to SSH into that machine, provide port 22 access, the TCP port 22. Okay, so configuring storage, I'm going with default things that are provided. I'm not going to alter anything. Next, let me expand this advanced details. Here, if you remember, we created a IAM role in the step 1. We need to attach the role. So for that, what I'll just go to my EC2 here, and here IAM instance profile, just expand this one. You would be seeing the role here. So this is what we created. EC2 CloudWatch role. I'll select that. Make sure that you add this. If you do not add this one, you will not be able to access the SSM, right? So we'll face a lot of issue later. Okay, so I will add that role here and I'll come down. So rest of the things I will leave that as default, and I'll come all the way down here to the user data section. So now let me explain what is user data, right? So here we need to attach a user data, so to configure this CloudWatch agent and things like that. So this is what we have for the user data. This is the default one which you will add for all the script that you write, bash script. So that is ignored. The second one, you need to you are getting the CloudWatch agent basically here. So this, if you go and open this file, you will be able to download a zip file which consists CloudWatch agent. So CloudWatch agent is nothing but a script that is developed by AWS team, a Perl script. So if you want to explore more on that, you can download it and just see how they've written the code, right? So we are getting that by using wget command. Later on, I'm going to unzip this particular file that I've downloaded. So that is what I'm doing here in the third step. And after unzipping, I will get a lot of files inside that zip file. So in that, the one particular file which is very important is install.sh. So I need to run that install.sh. So I'm going to use this fourth line to run that. So later on, the fifth line is to configure that CloudWatch agent. Okay, so the CloudWatch agent will be installed in this particular location. Okay, so for that configuration, the configuration file, we have placed it in the SSM, location. So that path I'm mentioning here. So /alarm / AWS CloudWatch agent. If you want to double check, you can come here, sorry, here. And if you see here, this is what the, file name, right? So that is what I've written here also. This is for EC2, so option is -c, and at the end you can mention -s, right? So this is what the user data script that you need to add. Okay, so the same user data script, I have made it available for you to use here in the GitHub. You can just copy that and you can come here and paste it here. So, and you can just click on launch instance. So after clicking on launch instance, you can just click on view all instance. Here you get all the different EC2 instances, terminated instances, pending instances. So just filter it out for the running instance. It will take some time. If you see here, this is what our EC2 instance is. So these other instances, some of my students have practiced it, so they have terminated it. So ignore that. So consider only the thing that is running right now. So if you want to filter it, so you can just come here and you can just look for instance state, and instance state is equal to running, right? So this is what our instance ID is, ending with 064, and the status is still running, whereas in status check is still initializing. Let's give it a couple of minutes for this to complete. So we need to check 2x2 status check pass, so only then we'll be able to follow the rest of the steps. Okay, so I'll come back once that is passed. All right, now if you see, the status check 2x2 is passed. So the next thing that we need to do is to check whether the CloudWatch agent is installed correctly or not. To do that, you can just select this EC2 instance and hit connect. So I'm going to use EC2 instance connect method. So you can use any other methods. I'll just click on connect, and I'll be able to connect to this EC2 instance via browser itself. Okay, so next, to check if it is running or not, I've provided a comment here. So this is a simple command. You just need to go to the CloudWatch agent install path. So this is the path, and you need to check the status of it, right? So for that, so I'll just copy this one and I'll go to my EC2 instance here, and I'll just paste that command, and let's see if we are able to configure the CloudWatch agent or not. So I'll hit enter. Now if you see, the CloudWatch agent is installed and the status is running. So if you see here, the configuration status, it is saying configured. If it is not configured, then there would be a problem, right? So you make sure that you are configuring it correctly. So now it is confirmed that our EC2 instance CloudWatch agent is up and running, right? So now it will be pushing the data collected by the EC2 instance to the CloudWatch, right? So that is what our script is doing, this JSON. So it is going to get the memory and the disk utilization, and from the instance, this is where the instance ID is. So instance ID, you can get it from the metadata of the EC2 instance. Inside that, the instance ID will be taken, and then it will push the disk and the memory utilization to the CloudWatch. So that is the reason why we added CloudWatch full access. Okay, so now to check if we have, if we are receiving the instances details like CloudWatch memory utilization, the disk utilization, what you can do is you can go to CloudWatch. Okay, so let me close this. So I'll open a new tab of my AWS console. So I'll just go ahead and open CloudWatch. So here, if you see, we have CloudWatch. I'll just click on CloudWatch. And here, if you want to create an alarm directly, you can go ahead and create an alarm. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll go and create the alarm directly. So for that, what you need to do, you can just click on all alarms. I'll click on all alarms. And here I need to create a new alarm. Okay, so you see this one, right? So I'll just click on create alarm. And here you need to select the metric. So there are different metrics that the instance will produce. So I need to select that one. So we have, different metrics like S3 and different services metrics. So you want to select the right one. So I'll click on select here. And here I need to select the CloudWatch agent, CW agent, because that is what it pushing the data to the CloudWatch. So I'll select CW agent. Here if you see, we have two items here. One is instance ID device fs type path. So this is for your disk utilization, and this is for instance ID. This is for your memory utilization. If you do not see this CloudWatch agent in your metrics, that means there was some installation problem of the CloudWatch agent. You need to revert back and you need to check and you need to reconfigure it. Okay, so that is the one hint that I wanted to give you. So if you want to check the instance details, so let's check the memory utilization. So for that, go inside this instance ID, and here, so let's get the instance ID first. Okay, so I'll just copy the instance ID from the instance. Okay, and I'll paste it here. Okay, let me filter it out. So here if you see, we are getting EC2 instance name. This is the instance ID, the metric name that we provided. So let me go back to my JSON. So here if you see, this is our metric name, right? So that is what we are able to see here also. So that is what here it is getting displayed. So if you want, you can select that metric, and here it will show you the details. Right? Let me push this little down. Here if you see, we are getting the data after the launch. So here if you see, after 18.5 UTC, I'm getting the details. Memory utilization is 11%. So this is displaying in percentage, right? So here if you see, it dropped down to 9%. So if you ask me why it was 11 initially, so when I launch instance, there will be some configuration, right? So I added some user data scripts and all. So to run those, it will require some resources. So that is what it is used. So I'm getting the memory utilization details. Okay, so let me select that metric. And here, if you want, you can create a CloudWatch alarm. So basically it will alert you when the utilization goes above what you are mentioning. Okay, so to give you the details, this is what you have selected. If you want to make the changes to periods, like let's say 1 minute, for every 1 minute it was going to give you the details. Okay, so I'll just keep that as 5 minute itself. And statistic, I will go with average itself, but if you want to go with others, you can do that. I'll just go with average, and this is the instance ID. And threshold, whether you are keeping it as static, that means when the utilization goes above 80%, you are keeping 80 as static. So you can select static. If you want to go with anomaly detection, that means there will be some machine learning algorithm developed by AWS itself. So I won't recommend going with the anomaly detection. Go with the static. And here, whenever the memory utilization percentage greater than 80%, let's say, if you want to add an action, you can do it here. So it will go into in alarm state. Later on, if you want to notify anyone or something like that, you can create an SNS topic here, and you can find an SNS topic ARN here, and then you would be able to notify, right? So if you want, you can do that. Else you can remove the notification part completely, right? So I'll just go with I'll just remove this one. I don't want to add any notification. I'll just go with next. You can provide a name here if you want, and you can just click on next. Let me say demo. I'm not going to create it. I'll just give you the details. So later on, if you check all the details, and if you create alarm, right, so it will alert you whenever the utilization goes above 80%. Okay, so this is how you do it. Now let's check the utilization of disk, right? So I'll do the same process. Come here, CloudWatch, but here we selected this one. Now we need to select this one. Okay, I'll select that, and let's get the instance ID. Okay, so I'll copy the instance ID, come here, and I'll paste the instance ID here, and you should be able to get the details. So there are many different devices here, so that is why you are getting these details, but the root is slash, so you need to check the utilization of that. So if I select that one, you would be able to see the readings here. If you see here, I'm getting the readings, like it was 23% first, later on it dropped till now. I think it is at 23%, right? So this is how you can set up your memory utilization and disk utilization alarms for your EC2 instances. I hope you learned something new, because this video was requested by one of our subscribers here. So I just wanted to make sure that I provide a right value for them. So if you see a separate video for finding out disk usage, so I just thought of doing it, and this is what I've come up with. So I hope you're learning something in this video. So if you did like the video, please consider subscribing and share it among your friends. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.